10 Steps Further is a podcast designed to help you get 10 steps further along your spiritual journey. If you've been on your journey for 30 years or 30 minutes, if you believe in God, or even if you're not sure He exists, all we're trying to do is help you get 10 steps further. I'm Jonathan, and this is Jack, and we're just taking a walk. Why don't you join us? Welcome back to 10 Steps Further. Jack and I, together, we have no guest, and it has been...
It's been a long time.
3 weeks since we've recorded. I think at this very moment, if people want context of when it is, I think the inauguration is going on
right now
at this very moment.
But that is not the most notable thing that's happened in your life.
I just got back. We got back 2 days ago from Hawaii, from Maui.
Yeah.
Never been to Maui before.
Do you think any of our listeners are secretly judging you for going
maybe
during COVID?
Maybe. Well, not for going during COVID. Just I would imagine they'd be judging me just for being able to go.
They're just bitter because they didn't get to go. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird way to start the year. We had a trip planned for our 20th anniversary, and it got canceled almost a year ago, and so we finally got to go. It was great. Just Sandy.
I think we were both gonna go. Were you gonna go in March?
I think so.
We were gonna go in March.
Yeah,
we were gonna celebrate.
We were gonna go right after Easter. We were gonna leave the day after.
Okay,
Easter.
so we were gonna go in March. You're gonna go in April. We were going to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary.
And you were already late.
Yeah, we were already 3 years late.
Yeah,
So we still canceled that.
Yeah,
so
what we noticed too is when we went, it was like the first week was there weren't a lot of people there, and by the second week it was a lot more people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think that people are kind of getting the message that you can go now.
Yeah,
and so there's a lot of people who canceled and
a lot of whales.
There were a lot of whales. Yeah, there's nowhere else to go on a whale watching trip than there because you see hundreds of them.
So amazing, right?
Yeah, it was fun. It was great. It was relaxing. My wife has stored up some vacation time, and so it was amazing that we were able to do that.
And there's a Starbucks near your hotel.
There is, and we walk to it every day.
Because Sandy works at Starbucks, so free coffee for Sandy every day.
Free coffee, free breakfast, free one free meal a day, and one. Yeah, so we saved a fortune.
Oh, so great! That's so great. But let's be honest. A Starbucks meal cannot fill up Jonathan.
No. So we went back a few times, and we paid every time we went on top of the free.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was great.
That's great. So today I have had in my mind, for whatever reason over this last year, something that God has really been speaking to me is about leaning into smallness.
Okay.
Meaning that it's so easy for pride to come in, and our general natural tendency is to make more of ourselves or to have people feel better about ourselves, rather than trying to be small, trying to make less of you. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
Okay, so the way this kind of struck me originally this last year is in Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12 is one of the most popular chapters in the whole Bible. One everybody points to is Romans 12, 1 and 2 that says, do you know?
Oh, man, I will once you say it.
Do not be conformed to this world.
Yep.
But be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? So don't be like everybody else.
Yeah.
What are the ways, we were just talking about this before the podcast, like, okay, so we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Right. With no recording.
That's right. Just about stuff in life and what have you.
Right.
But our conversation went to conforming.
Yeah.
How do people conform? How do Christians conform?
Well, I think big business the world has made it a business to get everybody to conform, get everybody to dress the same, and we want them to wear our clothes, get everybody to buy the same phone, drive the same car,
and it's a gray car too. Have you noticed?
Everybody's going
gray. Everybody's got a gray car. I don't know what the deal is. I have a blue car, but
yeah, but isn't that it? I mean, we want everybody to love our product and to feel left out if they don't have it.
Right.
And so we have this within us. We have this, I want to fit in. like Sandy and I have joked about living in San Diego and how we have become Scripps Ranch people, and how Scripps I don't know how much I want to unveil of this, but it's like we live in Scripps Ranch. It's just this upper middle class community. It's a great little small town in San Diego. But it's silly things. Like I've had friends tell me, like, you dress different. I don't feel like I dress different. I wear a black t-shirt and jeans. I used to wear a white t-shirt and jeans, and I switched to black. But anyway, so they're like, you dress different since you've been there. I don't know if I act different or talk different, but like the car I drive fits the community. We drive a Tesla Model 3, and we got a golden doodle. Everybody in our community has a golden doodle. So it's just really funny because it's like I don't feel like in any way that we're trying to fit in. I don't feel like we gotta fit into this community.
It just naturally happens.
You become like the people you're around.
So as I'm reading this, don't conform to the world. You mentioned that essentially Christians are just 20 years behind everybody else.
Yeah.
Like sexual behaviors, what have you. I don't sleep together. Live together. It all kind of softens.
Yeah.
You can think of conforming in our appearance,
right.
And now Christians are just wearing as many tight clothes as other people. You could think of all of those things. Maybe the like television shows that they watch.
The story of the mustache and the mullet, right? Like it's just like when everybody has it, everybody has it. When nobody has it, I can't believe that guy's got a mullet. Like
right. So here in this pivotal passage that so many people point to about not conforming,
right?
The first thing that this guy, the guy who wrote it, Paul, says is this: for by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, don't conform to the world.
Right.
Don't be transformed.
Right.
He says, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought.
Right.
But rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you.
Right.
I mean, I kind of feel like he would say, hey, stop dressing like everybody else, or clean up sexually, or whatever like that. If you're conforming,
right,
those are the things that I would point to right away.
Yeah.
And he does it.
Okay.
He says, hey, looks like you got an arrogance problem.
Right.
Looks like you got a pride problem.
Right. And that's the stuff that looks like everybody else.
Yeah. And so when you read this, you can kind of look at it like, okay, yeah, I get that. That's probably makes sense to not think of yourself more highly than you ought. Don't puff yourself up.
Right.
But it is absolutely not the way we deal with ourselves.
Right.
And it's not the way we deal with our kids. Mm-hmm. I can almost guarantee you that's not the message that parents give their kids.
It used to be, I'm sure.
Right.
I feel like in our day, it's like we've come to this like, hey, you're special.
Yes.
You are significantly better than everybody else that is. And as parents, I feel like we actually think that. We're not just like buttering our kids up. Like we're just like, no, you're better than everybody else. And then they start thinking that. And and that's more highly than they ought.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Believe it and you can achieve it.
Right.
Anything is possible if you just believe.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Am I misreading this?
I had a conversation with
my son. Feels like pride.
I had a conversation with my son last night, and he's just at a point in his life where it's no longer anything is possible if you just believe. But it was. This was almost exactly what I said to him was, you basically have unlimited potential if you'll work for something. So it's like it's not just believe it. It's you got to go after it. Like video games aren't going to get you there, unless your goal is to be a pro video game player. Then you need to play more video games. But it's having that mindset of you can get to it because it's available to you, but it's not going to come just because you think you're better than everybody else.
That is one side that you have to make sure that you keep a hold of. What are other dangers that you see in telling an entire group of people that you're exceptional?
Right.
You deserve a trophy.
Right.
You're better than everybody else.
Well, when they discover that it's not true, I think that there's a lot of depression that can go in that. Because like I've heard somewhere along the line that the gap between who you are and who you think you are, like the smaller that gap is, the healthier you are as a person. Like, and the bigger the
That makes
gap
sense.
is, that there's all kinds of psychological issues that come with the person who thinks that they're Superman and they're just a terrible person. That gap, if that gap is huge, that is a very not healthy person.
To parents out there, I just want to say this to you, that if your message is always you're better, you're good, you're awesome, you're the one, you're gonna, then
Right.
when they get to the place where somebody does better in school, somebody's got a better jump shot than they have, somebody has more likes than they have,
Right.
then all of a sudden what you have set them up to is to feel good about themselves if they're in the top 5.
Right.
But really, if they're in the top 5, they're wishing they were top 2%.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah. I think that it's a hard spot because I know that for even I just think of the way that I've communicated with my kids and realizing like I think in some sense I want to speak into them the potential, especially
Of course.
I feel like
Yep.
I feel like young people. I just feel like young people are just a bundle of potential that most of it will never be met.
Right.
But I think that it's healthy for them to know that that's true, because then they can actually get more from life when they realize like, hey, I don't have to conform to the world and go
Right.
with what's given to me. But yeah, there is a something unhealthy about kind of giving them aspirations of things that are way beyond their capability.
It feels like, at least in our culturally, there is some sort of gray area in pride. But generally speaking, pride is not viewed as a negative.
No.
I looked up pride bumper stickers.
Okay.
Okay, first off, got a lot of rainbows.
Yes, of
But
course.
secondly, I found this. I'm proud of my honor roll student.
Right.
Proud to be a union bricklayer.
Okay.
Proud of my Eagle Scout.
Yep.
Atheist and proud.
Okay.
Proud parent of a pit bull.
Okay.
All right?
Uh-huh.
Proud Army mom. And to come full circle, proud of my D student.
There you go.
We're proud Democrats. We're proud Republicans. We're proud parents. We're proud of our school. We're proud of our world. We're proud to be an American.
Right.
Where at least I know I'm free.
Right.
And you know what? There really isn't a lot of gray area when you look into the Bible, at least when it comes to this word. And maybe this is just semantics, but Proverbs 16:18, pride goes before destruction,
Right.
a haughty spirit before a fall.
Right.
Proverbs 29, a man's pride will bring him low. Obadiah 1:3, the pride of your heart has deceived you. Daniel 4, God is able to put down those who walk in pride. 1 Peter 5:5, God resists the proud. Okay, if you're wondering if there's gray area, Proverbs 16:5, the Lord detests all the proud of heart.
How much is like, because a lot of the things that we talked about with pride are pride for somebody else. Like the positive prides are, I'm a proud parent of a pit bull, is like, I love my pit bull.
The only place that pride is ever used positively, it's when Paul is writing in some of his writings to the church, and he just says, I'm proud of you.
Right.
So I do believe that there's a space for that.
Right. Yeah, if you're like, because it seems like all of the biblical references seem to be this person who's like, you know what, I'm proud of me.
Right, right.
And it's self-focused pride versus a pride of like that, because when you have pride that's outgoing, it's lifting somebody else up. Proud of your kids, proud of your pit bull, proud of your country, proud of, like, I don't know that those are bad. I think that when you say I'm proud of my kids because they have great parents, or I'm proud of my country because it has me, then that's trouble. But when you're like, man, I'm just proud that I came from great parents, or that I have kids that are working hard, or whatever.
So what is the center of pride that God is attacking? I think I would start here. I got it.
Right.
I got this.
Right.
You know what? I'm capable. I can do it. I don't need anybody else.
Right.
And the ultimate expression of that is, I don't need you, God.
Right.
If I end up messing this up, I'll call on you and I'll pray to you and I hope you'll rescue me from this. But look, man, I got this.
Right.
It's like we joked about my comedian friend of mine who says the bumper sticker, God is my co-pilot.
Right.
Like God's not good enough to drive.
Right.
He's going to sit there and says, hey, you take the wheel. I'm not familiar with this area.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, and what is the danger of the I got this attitude that people can have in their life?
Well, humility just is this willingness to understand that you don't have it all figured out, don't have it all together, and so you invite better than yourself into your world. So I think that there is that, like you keep everything out, like, and it creates division, it creates competition, it creates, instead of lifting up somebody else, you're pushing them down to keep yourself above.
Right.
I don't think that's ideal.
Right.
But yeah, I think.
Well, you will always have to do it. Mm-hmm. If you have to be on top, you will always have to either try to pull yourself above everybody else or try to find something wrong with the people that are above you.
Right.
And so there's always that. And I just tell you, Michael Jordan is not leading the league in scoring anymore.
Right.
You can even reach the top.
Yeah.
And there's no debate between us. Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. We both agree.
We saw the last dance.
But right now, I'm telling you, if they're going to go one-on-one, I'm going to want it to be LeBron.
Right.
And in 10 years, it's going to be somebody else.
Yep.
You can't even stay on top.
Nope.
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and weird, like, I feel like Jesus has some things that he said regarding, it's interesting to me that he appealed to this particular desire of people to be the greatest.
Right.
Because he said, if you want to be the greatest, become the least. Serve others. Right. Lift up others. Mm-hmm. And I think that actually plays itself out in the world, that the people who contribute the most are the people that go down in history as the greatest of people. Usually during their life, they're looked down upon. Greatly looked down upon, but when they're gone, because of how much they served and contributed, we just had Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there's an example, right, of this guy who contributed and wanted to live his life for a purpose and for a group of people, and really for a nation, and bringing division together and creating unity. Right. And you have this guy that, like, I don't know of anybody who wouldn't say he was a great man, and he fought for a worthy cause, and he was a voice for a worthy cause. I don't know.
Except when he lived.
Except for when he lived, right? Like somebody killed him.
Like maybe 40% of the people were all in favor of him.
It's crazy, right?
Right? And, yeah, you're right.
And so I just think like that selfless service is the way to greatness.
Okay, so I have a feeling about pride, and I believe that it is the sin that, number one, can keep you far from God, because your self-sufficiency can keep you from actually calling on God. Right. So that's maybe why it's at or near the top. Yeah. And secondly, it's the most hidden. Yeah. I just don't know anybody that says, you know what, man, I'm just super arrogant. Here's a quote. John Ortberg said, people see therapists and pastors every day for anger or anxiety or addiction problems, but rarely does anyone seek help for their pride problem. There are no Betty Ford treatment centers for the insufferably arrogant.
I want to start one, because how fun would that be to just have a thing where proud people come in and your job is to tear them down? Like, just they just come in and you tell them all their flaws. Like,
so when I gave this message, I found an article that referenced Jonathan Edwards, and he was a pastor 300 years ago. Okay. And he gave us what I think is some great wisdom on how to deal with the pride inside of you, or where it shows up. Okay. Okay. And so I'm going to run through. He makes these 7 points. Okay. That if you're arrogant and you don't know it, which is everybody listening, right? Here's how you find it. Number 1, fault finding. Edwards put it like this: the spiritually proud person shows it in his fault finding with other saints. The eminently humble Christian has so much to do at home and sees so much evil in his own that he is not apt to be very busy with the heart of others.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that is like obvious. Like we have that. We all have that.
Right.
Right. I mean, and we don't have it with the same people, or we don't all have it with the same amount of people, but we will find it in even the lowest of people, who maybe consider themselves the lowest of people. Everybody's better than me. Still have those people that like they'll find fault with, and basically what they're saying is, but I'm better than these people.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So C.S. Lewis had a thing where he said that pride is hidden, but only to the person who has it.
Yeah.
Everybody else can see it very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. Finding fault with somebody else. We all have it.
Mm-hmm.
We rarely think of it as pride.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's a decent mirror. Do you want another one?
Yeah.
A harsh spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Those who have the sickness of pride in their heart speak of other sins with contempt, irritation, frustration, or judgment.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, it's similar, right?
Right.
Have you noticed, too, that sometimes it's easy to find fault in people that have faults similar to your faults?
You know what? It's funny. I feel like I've heard that forever, but I've always felt like, and maybe it's my own pride, I've always felt like it's been different than that. I feel like I naturally look down on people who struggle where I don't, more than who struggle where I do.
Yep.
Like I'm I can be gracious with the person who's struggle where I struggle. But then I'm like, oh, but this person, like I don't have any of that. Yeah.
I will tell you this though. I've had times where like this is just personal confession time, probably too much. The hard part of being a pastor is that on the way home, people are evaluating you, right?
Right.
And I live in this culture. I'm very public and I'm pretty authentic.
Right.
And so I know that there are people who have made up their minds about decisions that I've made or people I've let go or whatever.
Right.
And I know that they're talking about me.
Yeah.
Well, if I find out about that, there's something inside of me that wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I have to, and I don't. But I will talk with my wife about it.
Right.
I don't know what's different though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel there's also another side of me that generally looks at, I'm usually evaluating my own stuff and what awful thing I did, and I can't let go of those things too.
Yeah.
I think you probably know that about me.
Yeah.
But
it's not like, I feel like that's the thing though, is like when you're in any position of leadership, like yours is more public, but I feel like people go through that in leadership where like a leader's job is to make a decision, not necessarily always to make the right decision. Like you don't know.
right.
Was this the right? I don't know. Like, and half the people are in agreement and half the people aren't in agreement, but it falls to this person to make the decision.
I had this kind of thought, this illustration. I feel like God put it in my head. You could tell me if that's right or wrong. That I'm carrying around this backpack.
Okay.
And this backpack has all these heavy things and pokey things and what have you. And generally the illustration when you talk about a backpack is you got to drop the backpack, right? Like it's a burden that you're carrying that you don't need to be carrying.
Okay.
So I unzip the backpack and it's filled with tools.
Okay.
And tools can be heavy and bulky and pointy, but they can be used to make something.
Right.
All those things that have bumped me and poked me and bothered me from bad decisions I've made or things where I did the wrong thing.
Right.
I have learned have become tools to make the right decision later.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
No, I like that.
So, anyway, I don't know. How did this become all about me? Yeah. I guess it's just you know what? I think that's one of the pride things in there.
It's number 3. You make everything about yourself.
Well, number 3. You want number 3. Number 3 is superficiality.
Okay.
When pride lives in our hearts, we're far more concerned with others' perception of us than the reality of our hearts. Wow. In reality, that's me. That's number 3. I'm number 3. I'm superficial.
Yeah. That's common though, right? I mean, it's very common. One of the things I'm hearing on social media, some of the people that I like to follow on social media, one of the reoccurring themes is you gotta stop caring so much about what people think. Like that seems to be a phrase that's being used a lot, and it just seems to be, I think, especially in the social media age.
Yeah.
Social media has such an opportunity. And that's a lot of business guys out there are like, they'll point to the opportunity of social media to reach people for a cause, to start a business, whatever you want to do. And the number one thing that'll actually hinder, which we might think of as humility, is the caring what everybody thinks when I put myself out into the world. Right. And it's interesting to kind of shift that and be like, well, that actually might be pride that keeps you from sharing with the world.
Right. Right.
Because, it's just like, well, I'm not good looking enough to make a video. I don't speak well enough to make it. Like, is that pride or humility talking?
Right. What you're saying is that the pride could be, I'm so worried about what everybody else thinks that I'm not confident enough that this is who God has made me to be.
Right.
So I'm just trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
Now, my only pushback with you is if you care what nobody thinks, by definition, you're a psychopath.
Right.
Okay.
Is it sociopath?
Sociopath.
Yeah, there
it's
it is.
Sociopath.
Yeah, psychopath is like you're killing people on the weekends.
You're right. Sociopath. There should be some internal, like for me, my family or my staff,
right, who
know me well, walk with me,
right,
to be able to listen to them and be able to grow in those. But like everybody else, or I don't know if you know this, but we got this random criticism of 10 Steps Further.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just based on our intro. That for those people.
Wait, I do the intro.
Well, you do. But the thought that 10 steps further, whether you believe in God or you're not sure He exists, we're just trying to get you 10 steps further.
Right.
And this person said, hey, look, these people that are far from God don't need to get a step further. They just need to repent.
That's awesome. I hope they start a podcast, and it'll probably be really good, really effective.
Yeah, just yelling at people that are far from God, telling them to repent. Feels like that is written on a giant sign outside of every sporting event, right?
Yeah, we are back with another episode of You Just Need to Repent. Anyway, somebody just got more offended.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And actually, I kind of like being picked out like that.
I like it. I like it.
I do too.
Don't sign your name to those ones.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. Maybe we just need to get in people's faces more. Okay, number 4, defensiveness.
Okay.
So I think what I just did was defensive. True humility is not knocked off balance,
right,
or thrown into a defensive posture by challenge or rebuke,
right,
but instead continues in doing good and trusting the soul to our faithful Creator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, when somebody criticizes you, do you have any defensive-ness in you?
Oh, man.
I do. I'll be honest with you. In some ways, I start going a little bit into lawyer mode. Now,
okay,
how I respond, hopefully, is not out of that defensiveness. Mm-hmm. But usually, it can take me 12 to 24 hours for that to sink in. Usually I might eat my lunch a little bit at night, and then I wake up and go, well, okay, I get it.
Okay.
I'm going to get back up. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But I will say that there are times when I do have that defensive spirit.
Yeah. No, I don't think, and for most part, I feel like I live in a bubble that I don't get criticized very much.
Right.
I feel like I'm just around such supportive people.
Yeah.
My wife has made that comment to me, of just like that. One of the reasons why, she thinks I kind of have thick skin when a criticism does come is because I've just, especially in church and things like that, the majority of people in the position that I'm in that will come to me will be positive. If somebody's got a problem with something I do, you're more likely to hear about it than I am.
Yeah.
And Judah Smith, who's a pastor up in Washington, I think he's still in Washington. He was talking about how he grew up in the church, and I think he was a pastor under his dad as a pastor for a while. And he's like, until I was the senior pastor, I thought everybody loved us.
Yeah.
And then he became the senior pastor. He's like, wait, these people don't like us. Like,
Right. That's right.
So I think that there's something to, if you're taking a lot of hits, and people in different areas of their life are going to, your family situation, whatever it may be, if you're taking a lot of hits, you're likely to be more defensive. You're just going to be.
Yeah.
It's gonna
it's
happen.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You just know. Like when somebody says, I don't know if everybody feels this way.
Right.
But I certainly feel this way when somebody says, hey, can we just sit down for coffee? Or I need to meet you in your office.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking they have a gift card for me.
Yeah. I saw a post. I saw a post, I think on the airplane or something on Instagram, and it said, one of my favorite parts about having a job is every time my boss asks if I can come into his office, I think I might be getting fired. Like, people just live in that world.
They do.
Like,
They do. And I've had team members who have felt like that too.
Yep.
I think the answer isn't, I'm going to set myself up for where my mind thinks that I am great and I'm all that.
Right.
The only thing I can lean into is that God's got me.
Yeah.
Even if other people don't like me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And again, this is the pride struggle that we have.
Yep.
We want everybody to like us and believe in us.
Yeah.
Well, there was one guy who did everything right.
Yeah.
And how did it turn out for him?
Right.
Right?
And everybody who's even come close has suffered greatly. Like, anybody who's made a great difference in the world has been criticized greatly.
You and I, added all up, everybody from our church will never be as hated as Martin Luther King Jr.
Right. Yep. And right now, I don't know of a single person.
Yeah.
Right. Who will
You
not.
kind of
There's people. I don't know.
Revisionist history it works that way.
Yep.
But when you're in it,
Yep.
you're right. Okay.
Right.
You want me to give you the next one?
Yep.
Presumption before God. All right, I have to define that.
Okay.
Others of us feel no confidence before God, which sounds like humility, but in reality, it's another symptom of pride. In those moments, we're testifying that we believe our sins are greater than His grace.
Wow. Yeah. I can see that. Like, we don't recognize. It's funny. It's really hard to wrap your head around that a little bit
Right.
of, I'm so bad the church will burst into flames if I walk through the doors. Like, I've met those people. It's like, no, you're not really that significant.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of part of it, is like bring yourself down a little bit and recognize that He's infinite and you've done some bad stuff.
Right.
So
Right. It just feels like a little backdoor pride that, again, pride always does the same thing.
Right.
It separates us from God.
Yeah.
But rather than separating you from God in a way that says, hey, I got this,
Right.
you're thinking, well, I'm not good enough.
Right.
And so, again, it's all about you.
Right.
And in this relationship, the reality is it really isn't all about you.
Right.
It's all about, can God use you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan, you can play the guitar.
Right.
But the only reason God uses you is because God uses you, not because you're the
Right.
best guitar player, the best singer, but
Yeah.
whatever.
He wasn't looking for another guitar player.
Yeah.
Those are everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I always
Yeah.
used to think when we start. So I went from this place where I was speaking to a lot of people in big crowds in nice buildings.
Yeah.
And then I started a church.
Yeah.
And I thought, in my own stupidity, I thought, oh, well, all these people have heard me speak. Well,
They're just
flood
gonna,
into my
Yeah,
church.
they're just gonna leave all
Nobody-
their places and
Nobody
move.
knew me or any of those feelings.
Right.
The only reason God used me in those other places is because God had the ability to use me.
Right.
The only reason why God can use me now at all is because God, it's the whole hand glove deal, right? Like, I'm an okay glove, but a glove can't do anything.
Right.
It's only as God gets a hold of you.
Yep. Yeah. I had a friend that was just one of the most giving people. I remember we were at a concert one time, and we show up at the concert. It was an outdoor concert, and it was raining, and he lived close. And so we pulled up, and it just started to rain. We're like, we got to run back to your apartment and grab a coat. So we run back to the apartment, we get a coat, and then we come back to the concert. We get out of the car, and he sees this guy with his friends, and the guy's cold, and he's standing in the rain, and he takes his coat off, and he gives it to this kid.
Wow.
Who's out there, and so one of the most selfless people ever. He was incredible. And then I remember a while later realizing the one thing he struggled with the most was he could not accept help from other people.
That's right. Yep.
And that he had a revelation himself that this is my pride. For him, he's like, I need to learn to allow other people to give to me, because it's really, there's this sense of when you're blessing people, there is this sense of hierarchy in that. And I think it's good to bless people, but there oftentimes is this like, no, I'm the one who gives, I'm not the one who gets. Like that's for lesser people.
We raised $25,000 as a church to help people through COVID, right? And all those people that gave felt really great about it.
Right.
And I was able to sit across from people and give them $1,000, $2,000, whatever, right? To help them with that.
Right.
And they all were grateful.
Yep.
But most of the response was, isn't there somebody else?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you give this to somebody else?
Yep.
And there is a humility to it. Like I think they felt not a humility. They feel humiliated.
Yeah.
By it.
Yeah.
Because again, that does strike at our pride.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you another one.
Okay.
Desperation for attention. Pride is hungry for attention, respect, and worship in all its forms. Maybe it looks like being haunted by your desire for the right car, or the right house, or the right title at work, all because you seek the glory that comes from men, not God.
Right. Yeah. I think that, again, the people who are like, a lot of times we think of things like greed as being a problem that rich people have.
Yeah.
It's often a problem that poor people have. And I think this is kind of a similar thing, is we think that the people who have a lot of attention are the people who struggle with this the most. Often it's people who have the least attention that struggle with the most. It creates, there is this real battle. I think we all desire and crave attention. Nobody remembers our birthday. That type of, like, we all crave to some degree. And I think that it's just another one of those things that it will build up as we don't have it. A lot of people, of famous people are trying to hide from everybody. Like that's they get too much attention. Like I can't go to the grocery store.
Well, yeah, for sure. But like we've had this conversation about some of our great sports figures who keep trying to tell everybody that they're better than people.
It's true,
and they're making millions, and everybody's applauding them and buying their jerseys. But they can't ever get to that.
Yeah,
like if you're always trying to get the attention of others, that well is never full.
Right. Yep.
So if you only way to find that is to go, okay, God, you got me, you use me, and if I only have value because I'm your kid,
right? Not
because I'm better than everybody,
right?
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I got one last one.
Okay.
Neglecting others. We consciously or unconsciously pass over the weak, the inconvenient, and the unattractive because they don't seem to offer us much. Right.
Yeah. I think that one's subtle, and it's probably in all of us.
Right. Yep.
Like I was working at a hardware store a long time ago, and there was a lady and her son, and then there was a guy in line behind her, lady and her son were behind this guy. So the guy looks like he's working. He's at a hardware store. He's grabbing some tools. The counter was small. She put her stuff on. He put his stuff on. And I was like, "Are you guys together?" And then, "Oh no, sorry." And so then I rang him up, and then he left. And the lady says, "I can't believe you would put me with him."
Really?
Yeah, and like it was just this like, you guys were just standing close to each other, and you put all your stuff on the counter at the same time. Like I'm not here to pick which one of you is better, but for her it was just like, really, that guy. And so I feel like we have that. We naturally, pridefully put ourselves in a category, and if you associate us with people that we think of as a better category, we're excited. But if you associate us with people we think of as a lesser category, we're offended.
Right.
And these are human beings. Like, wait, you put me in the class of those people? Mm-hmm. And I think we all have it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And Jesus comes down to earth. He's hanging out with people that are not rated highly.
Yep.
that's the people that he hung out with.
Yep.
He gives a story about, hey, when you go to a party, don't sit at the best seat.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody's going to come to you and bump you down and go, hey, no, man, down. Because they had the seating chart based on importance of who you were.
Right.
So he says, go sit the last one. If they want to move you up, they'll move you up.
Right.
Because it'll be embarrassing. But so we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would be a good idea to do evaluation of just the people in your life.
Right.
Do you focus more towards the person who's in charge of the organization, the CEO? Are you giving that same kind of attention to the guy who's working in the mailroom or underneath the intern, that kind of
Or even, I think one of the things, my son just left. He just left for about 8 or 9 months for ministry, like overseas stuff. And one of the things, so we got the family together, and we just had this time where we're kind of talking through the changes in the family and what that means for us. And one of the things that I realized is, like, especially in ministry, you pour into people and you love that, but your kids sometimes are the people who you're not pouring into because, like, they're not offering at the same level. Like, there's this and then you get to this moment where they're kind of going on to bigger and better things, and you're just like, did I really capitalize on that season? And I think perhaps ministry can be one example, but I wonder how many dads have that kind of cats in the cradle story, right? Like I was busy doing my thing, and then you grew up and became just like me.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like those are, like, it can be your own family. It can be spouses deal with that.
Yeah.
Where you take certain people for granted because you're pursuing other people.
Yeah, and let me just say, I hate that song. I hate that song. It's so depressing.
Oh, yeah.
It's so depressing. And I would say to somebody that feels like they're in the cats in the cradle syndrome, this life is long.
Yeah,
Start now, pour into them now, what have you.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make one more point as far as this is kind of adjusting the way, I'm trying to adjust the way I speak about people.
Yeah.
Based on this.
Okay.
You probably didn't notice this. I didn't even think about this when I walked in. But did you notice my shoes?
No.
Okay. I am going to go golf with a friend today, and these shoes were given to me by my daughter and my son-in-law.
Right.
They knew I started getting into golf, and so they bought me these really cool golf shoes. They're super comfortable.
Okay.
I can wear them all throughout the day. It's great.
Today's episode is sponsored by Adidas golf shoes.
Yeah, they're super comfortable. This shirt, my daughter Daphne bought for me.
Right.
And it's like my favorite shirt that I'm going to wear when I golf. Mm-hmm. This watch that I'm wearing was a gift from my son.
Right.
The shirt that I'm wearing over it is kind of a Michigan shirt. It's funny. My buddy Aaron Wellman, who used to work, he was a strength coach for Michigan.
Right.
And so last time I was out, I took a picture of it and I sent it to him because I was texting back and forth.
Right.
And his response was, boo, because they fired him.
So where's he at now? Is he
they fired him.
more?
He went to the New York Giants, and then he's at Indiana University.
So you're going to get a Indiana shirt?
Aaron, if you're listening, he says, I need to get you some new swag.
There you go.
If somebody were to compliment me and say, hey, I like your shirt.
Right.
Or those are nice shoes.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm not saying. Mm-hmm. What I'm not saying is, you like my shirt? Oh, really? I picked it out.
Right.
I have really good taste.
Yeah.
Or, these are great shoes. I sewed them myself.
Right.
I was able to manufacture them in such a way that they're very comfortable. Thank you. You're welcome.
Right.
No, I say these were a gift.
Yeah.
I'm trying to respond to people differently rather than I'm proud of you, but to say, wow, Jonathan, you have a great speaking gift, which Jonathan does have. I love when you use your speaking gift.
Right.
I love it when you use your music gift to lead us in worship.
Yeah.
Gina, you have a great way with people. I love your people gift.
Right.
Right. Leslie, when you teach Sunday school or our children in the park, I kind of don't want to follow you because you're so good at what you do. You have a great giftedness with kids.
Right.
In that way, I'm honoring God for the gifts he's given me rather than trying to point to myself, blow up myself, think I'm better than anybody else.
Right. Yeah. Well, and everything we have is a gift, right? I mean, that's what you're saying. Is it's all like, I think I've told the story before, but I remember speaking at one of the first churches I spoke at. Pastor was gone. I was the worship guy.
Right.
We brought in Darren Hildebrand from the big church.
Okay, yeah.
And he could shred the guitar. And of all the people there that I was most nervous about, this guy sits under great speaking every single week.
Right.
And so of all the people, he was the guy that I was most nervous about. And so I give the message, and Darren's walking out with his guitar case after most of the people had left. And he turns around and he says, "Hey, man, God spoke to me today." And I said, "Thank you." He said, "Don't take credit for it." And he walked out the door. It's like just classic. One of my favorite things ever is just like, God used you. Just to roll with that, you know?
Right. In some ways, it's embracing smallness.
Yeah.
Like we keep trying to make ourselves bigger or better, or people, just embrace your own smallness.
Yep.
It's God using you.
Yep.
You don't have to try to make everybody click your post.
Yeah.
Or like you more, or you don't have to prove to everybody that you're good and have no critics.
Right.
No.
Yep.
You're going to do good, you're going to do bad, but God's going to use you only as he uses you because you're his kid, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Agree.
All right.
This one's coming out real soon.
It
so
is.
This is almost real time, guys. We recorded this only a few days before you're hearing it.
Well, you keep leaving on vacation.
Yeah. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us for these last 10 steps. If you'd like to join us for another journey, or if you know someone else who's on this walk, subscribe to our podcast at 10 Steps Further on iTunes, or simply search 10 Steps Further on your podcast app. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation with a question or a comment or a criticism or even a wisecrack, look us up on Facebook. We've created a Facebook group where you can be part of the conversation. We'll see you next time.